something funny for the intro? I don't know, because I mean, this is gonna make the podcast. But
that's true.
Hi, person recording this, or editing this. This is Austin. I'm Austin, by the way, and Spencer's over here to my stage left.
Yes.
I always get confused. But anyway, this is episode 30 of Figuring It Out.
30, the big 3-0.
Big 3-0. We made it. 30 by 30. Am I right?
30 by 30.
All right.
Get bonuses for that one.
We are. All right. Let's just cue the music.
This is when the music's playing right now.
Andy's gonna leave this part in. Oh man, that's gonna suck. It's okay. He'll figure it out. All right. I just see what I did there. Okay. I didn't even think about that. Oh man, we're firing on all cylinders today. All right, here we go. Hey everybody, welcome back in to the last episode of Figuring It Out. The last episode of Figuring It Out in my little gray box. And I've been talking about it, and the last episode was Spencer's Christmas lights and the ceiling fan. And I've been talking about it a lot because I'm really excited for it, because this is a weird little gray box, and like I'll pull it up on YouTube during the week when the episode comes out, and I'm like, wow, wonder if the background could get any more drab. And not Spencer's, of course, but my background.
Thanks.
But yeah, we're so happy you guys are here and have joined us for episode 30 of Figuring It Out.
You're not gonna miss these vibes, these immaculate vibes.
No.
What? Not gonna miss the box. It's a little nostalgic.
I'm so thankful for the little gray box, because it has enabled us to do the podcast somewhat well. Ever since I'm finishing up school up here in Pensacola, but I will be graduating when this comes out, I will be graduating this day.
Oh. So everyone cheer for Austin. Congratulations.
Honestly, it's by God's grace. It's not the wedding one. It's not.
No, I'm pretty sure that's graduation.
Okay, they will sound. Oh no, I know what the wedding one sounds. Yeah, that's it. There we go. Yeah, I'm just all jumbled. It's at the end. I'm here, and it's by God's grace, honestly, that I've made it. And yeah, I'm gonna start crying now. And I'll give a speech. Just no,
well,
just kidding.
Congratulations on this day that it releases. It's been a heck of a run in your little gray box and in my small apartment, and we're moving on to bigger, better things.
But as a very wise philosopher named Tony Stark once said, part of the journey is the end. So that's
there you go.
And then I start a new journey in the summer, which I'll work in somewhere, and then I will also be starting seminary in the fall, which super excited for that.
There you go. Big time moves. Big time moves on Figuring It Out.
Literally, big time moves. I'll be moving across the state.
That's right. Well, back. Yeah.
Well, back. Yeah, exactly. But hey, I'll never. Oh, I shouldn't say never. I can't deal in absolutes. It'll be a long time before I have to drive on I-10 again.
There you go.
If any of you listening are familiar with I-10, going either west or east from like Pensacola, so the far west part of Florida, the Panhandle, it's like nothing up there. It's such a boring drive, but I won't have to do that for a while.
I'm the same way. Anytime you say if I'm about to say I never will do this, or I always do this, I'm very concerned that that's going to come back to bite me, and then I'm going to immediately have to do that. Exactly. I'm definitely jinxing myself here.
Exactly. And so I was and my mom always told me, Austin, we don't deal in absolutes. And that was the Christian counselor thing growing up. So that was great. But she was just like, because I would be like, Alec always does this. Alex, my brother, like growing up, I would be like, Alec always does it. She goes, nope, always and never are bad words. I was like, I'm not cursing, Mom. Like, just make him stop.
Yeah. So I'm terrified of jinxing something.
Yeah.
Especially with it was with throwing up. If you're I haven't thrown up since this, like you're bound to throw up. Yep.
Knock on wood.
It doesn't matter. As soon as you say that, it's over for you.
It's done. So yeah.
So I will not tell you when the last time was, because
I truthfully, I don't want to know.
Oh yeah, okay.
I
I mean, we talked about broken legs and other things in the past episode, and that was maybe too gross for a lot of you. And now we're talking about this. Viewership is plummeting.
Yeah, we gotta tack like the little what is it? The little splash screen thing on that you see on the TV with the rating on the top.
Oh
like
yeah.
Like TV 14. You just gotta slap
TV
those
14. On. Sorry to our younger listeners. We also talked about Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny not being real, so we really had to put that on there.
Slap that one on there too.
Make sure those the younger demographic doesn't listen to this, even though I'm positive that they're not. Well, you never know.
We're home wreckers here on figuring it out.
Yeah.
Just
Sorry, guys. Sorry, guys.
But hey, you got your vaccine, right?
I did get my vaccine. Yeah.
That knocked you. Did that knock you out pretty good?
It hit me with a couple left hooks. Yeah.
Couple left hooks.
Couple left hooks, and I was down. I got a headache. People kept saying, "Oh, it hit me around like 9 o'clock at night," and that's when I felt it. And then like almost 9 o'clock on the dot, like I was feeling like not great up to then, but like 9 o'clock on the dot, I felt like the headache, the aches, the like fever, tiredness, like it all just hit me like a truck, and it was not fun. I was like I woke up like 3 times during the night, but now I feel okay. I'm not 100%, but I'm still.
So if we see you like yawn or something during it, it's the vaccine. It's not the fact that you're bored.
No, I'm not bored. I've yawned like in the pre-show when me and Austin were talking. I yawned like maybe 4 times. I'm just tired, so I'm not bored. I don't know. And then I get in my head, I'm like, don't yawn, don't yawn, don't yawn, and then I yawn.
Yeah, don't yawn. Don't yawn.
Well, don't do this to me. Why? I'm gonna be yawning. I'm gonna be yawning soon.
I just wanted to see if it worked or not. But let me ask you this. This might be a good segue. Did you expect kind of to?
I know where he's going with this. So this is
you know exactly where I'm going. But did you expect it to knock you out as bad as it did?
Based on what people told me, it was like impending doom.
Okay.
Like it was like, all right, well, here we go. I know this is gonna happen, which I was like prepared for it at least. I wasn't like thinking I was invincible. I only have a couple. It's 2 weeks before I'm completely invincible. No, that's not true. The CDC is gonna slap this with like a warning saying this is
just like this don't listen.
Fake news.
Yeah, but
yeah, I did expect it, and I was hit with it, and I guess not everyone is affected by it, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm waiting till I get home just because I've heard like it knocks like this, especially the second dose. It knocks you out for a day and a half, basically. Yeah,
the crap out of you, yeah.
Those left hooks,
the uppercut hits you with everything.
It's been game time. One of my friends calls this part of the semester game time, and it's been game time here. So I didn't want to be knocked out during game time because
really, it's the fourth quarter for you.
It's the fourth quarter, and it's because I take finals. By the time this drops, I'll have finished finals, that's end of game time. End of game.
You'll be walking across the stage as this is released.
I will. It will be very, very weird.
We need a live stream for our viewers.
There is a live stream for the graduation. The only thing is it's just like a bunch of like pomp and circumstance, and then they call my name one time, and you just see me like dash across the screen, grab my diploma, and be like, "Thank you," and then that's it. And then
what we needed to put the link down here below, like on the scrolly thing, so I'm not figuring it out. Fans could tune in.
No, I don't want. No, I don't want to. I don't want to make people suffer through it.
Oh.
It's like it's a long ceremony, and they do a lot of singing, and because it's a Christian college, so they sing a lot of hymns.
Are you doing any singing?
No. No. I will be on screen for max 6 seconds.
Okay, that might be worth it.
But yeah, and I mean, why I asked you, and I mean, you know exactly why I asked you what I did, the way I did. is because it kind of leads into what we're talking about today, and that's expectations versus reality. Because I feel like a lot of times in our lives, we expect something of ourselves, we expect something from others, and more times than not, those expectations don't match up with reality, and we kind of face a fork in the road at that point.
Yeah.
We face a crossroads of how do I get through this? Am I going to keep going, or am I just going to derail?
Yeah.
And honestly, derailing is the easier of the two options.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm being honest.
What do you mean? What do you mean by derailing exactly?
I think just like when I say derailing, I think not, and there are a lot of causes, like for depression. There are a lot of causes for that, but just a distinct lack of motive or purpose, and you feel like it becomes hard to get out of bed in the morning. It becomes just a drain to interact socially. It becomes just life. Like you would call it, you would step back and say, you know what, life is really, really hard right now, and I don't know the way out.
Okay.
And so a lot of times that's due to these expectations, and how expectations don't really match up with reality.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's like the side effect of failed expectations, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
okay.
you could even make it even a broader category and say failure.
Yeah.
Like maybe you don't meet your own expectations.
Sure.
And you live in this paralyzing fear of failure.
Yeah. And that's the case.
That could,
That's the case for a lot of people, failure or rejection. And so it's almost like you're going into it, maybe not with high, you can go into things with low expectations. Like I feel like there's two sides of that too. You can go in with really high expectations or really low expectations, and just like kind of be in that almost like depressed state or like fearful state where it's like, things are not going to work out. Things are going to go the worst. My mind can sometimes go that way where I think I expect the worst out of situations. So I almost
catastrophize.
And I almost avoid going in those, like maybe it's like a situation, I avoid going to that situation where like whatever that was going to be was probably not going to turn out that way. But like I never know because I didn't like go and I didn't like face those fears and I didn't like, I don't know, I just avoided it. And I think we can have really high expectations that can be, missed, and that sucks. Or we can like have really low expectations and not even try. So both of them put you, like what you're saying, kind of like away, and almost like can put you in a depressed state, can put you kind of like away from social interaction, and kind of just like isolation almost.
Yeah. The word I would use to describe that state is just shaken, right?
Shooketh.
Not so much. Yeah. Shooketh. Yeah. One of those in that family, in that branch of adjectives. But one of like you just feel rocked to your core, and those, like, honestly, that's some of the scariest times. And I know for me, I am by nature, I am a perfectionist, and I push myself very, very hard in school, in when I'm playing sports, when I'm like even preparing for a sermon. And it becomes so much so, like, I put so many of these expectations upon myself that if I don't live up to them, like, I am terrified of that state of failure. And it's like I said before, it's paralyzing. It's like it really just, it shakes you, it knocks you off balance. It's like it really becomes just a drain.
Yeah.
And I've learned over the past year that like that's not healthy emotionally or spiritually, because then we're not following the purpose we were made for, and that's to love God with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength. We're so worried about, I guess, an appearance, or just just failing in general, that we push ourselves. And I've seen that in myself. I've pushed myself too hard and ended up burned out, even at the ripe young age of 21.
Yeah.
And there have been times where I could sit back and say, yeah, I felt burned out at that point.
So what happens to you, like personally, like when your expectations aren't met, or like you said, your expectations high and things don't really work out? What usually happens for you?
It kind of throws me into a tailspin, truthfully. Kind of like what I described at the beginning. I said, life just feels like a drain and a drag. And transparently, it's happened definitely within the past year. I think back to honestly, when we first started figuring it out. And it wasn't that figuring it out was a drain. It was that just everything else around me seemed to come crashing down. And it threw me through a tailspin. And I might have mentioned this before on the podcast. And if I have, I'm sorry, I'm running out of stories. But what happened is I threw myself into work. And I threw myself into checking off the boxes on Canvas, the site we use to turn in assignments in school. And I just threw myself into checking off boxes because I'm like, hey, that's something I can control. And it's an expectation I can set for myself where I know I won't get burned, because it's me and a computer screen. It's me just doing assignments and checking off boxes. And I missed so much of God's presence in that distress, because I set expectations for myself and I set expectations relationally, and those came crashing down. And I didn't know what to do except throw myself into work.
Yeah.
And that's not healthy.
Yeah.
But
and you said something interesting there. Like you missed what like God was doing almost. And I think that's what happens a lot of times when we set our expectations really high and we expect everything to be perfect, everything to work out. And life in general, like it's never going to be like that.
Yeah.
And I do that a lot. What I tend to do is I like to look to the future a lot, which is not good. Like, I mean, it's not a bad thing to look into the future and be excited for things coming up. But I look a little bit too much and set expectations high, and I kind of miss the moment. And in that moment, things can seem crappy. Things may not be going exactly how we planned, but we kind of have to look into what is happening around us. We kind of miss that because we're like, oh, this wasn't exactly what I thought was going to happen. Things aren't exactly how I wish that they would be, but there could be other great things happening in that moment.
You're right.
We can kind of almost set ourselves up for failure when we do set our expectations high, because it's never going to be met. And that's one of the things that I've been working on, kind of what what we were talking about earlier, where it's like absolutes. Where it's like, absolutely, it's kind of like you avoid that, like, oh, this is going to be great. This is going to be the best time. And if it's not, then you're setting yourself up. Like, there's no way it's going to be the best thing ever. Right. Like, oh, you can kind of go into it like, oh, this is going to be a fun time, but we don't know. And so it's kind of just trusting the Lord with like how things are going to go and what he's doing, and trusting that he's in control instead of kind of relying on these situations that we've put in our head that are like, this is going to work out. This is going to be awesome. Like it could be.
And I think that's it, right? I think you hit the nail on the head right there. It's where our expectations lie. Do our expectations lie in ourselves? Does it lie in another human? Or does it lie in the one who promises to never let us down? Right?
Yeah.
And easier said than done. Both my hands are up. It's so much easier said than done. But there's this so here at the church here at school, that it's very traditional. They sing a lot of older music, old hymns, which nothing wrong with that. There are a lot of good hymns I like, but there are some that I'm like, haven't heard that one before. That's interesting. Wow. Just neutral phrases.
Wow.
But one hymn that the pastor actually mentioned this in his sermon like a couple weeks ago. He turned to the guy who was sitting next to him before he got up to preach, and there was a song playing that says "Every day with Jesus is sweeter than the day before," and he turned to the guy to his left and said, "Hey, is every day with Jesus sweeter than the day before?" And I got to thinking about that when he said it. I was just thinking, and then a quote came to me, and it was a quote by Dallas Willard, one of my favorite authors, and he says that where time touches eternity is the present, is the moment right now.
Okay.
So where like
time,
yeah, you had to think. It's a deep quote, but it's powerful because that is where God breaks in, where time meets eternity, and where God breaks in is the present, is right here, right now. And like we can look back at times in our lives, we can look back through time and say like, yes, like we have seen God break in, but God breaks in the present where we are at that moment, right?
Yeah.
And because I do the same thing what you talked about. I look ahead and I catastrophize. What if this doesn't work out? What if I fail? What if that relationship just falls apart? What if they leave? Right?
Yeah.
And I miss where God is and where the Prince of Peace, the peace that passes all understanding, he dwells with us here and now. And I often miss that because I'm too busy worrying about the future. I'm too busy theorizing about what if this happens? What if that happens? Like what if things don't go exactly the way I want them to or the way I expect them to go?
Yeah, we try to plan it. We try to plan it out in our heads. Like this is exactly how it's going to go. And I know people picture it a lot when it's like we try to come up with our own plans and God's still like laughing. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I've wondered. I wonder if God like is chuckling, like just like, yeah, that's funny. Like it's not going to go that way, but that's a nice thought.
Yeah,
but it's not going to go that way. And yeah, we try to plan it out perfectly in our heads. And it usually doesn't go that way. But
that's when why I mentioned that song is because that's why every day with Jesus is sweeter than the day before, because his presence is with us in the right here and right now.
Yeah.
And by living with Jesus in the present and putting our expectations onto him, we have very little to be disappointed in. Like it's not wrong to feel like, it's not like if you feel disappointed or sad or even in this state of depression or you just feel anxiety, it's not the fact that you're doing anything wrong or you did anything wrong. No. But by fixing our eyes on Jesus in the present, his peace that passes all understanding makes it just makes life seem a lot sweeter than if we didn't focus on that.
Yeah. So what's your favorite hymn?
I knew that one was coming. Oh, man.
Did you? Do you picture me as a big hymn guy? Is that why you were expecting that question?
Big hymn guy. No, I didn't pick. I said hymn, and usually it's like, oh, I heard this song that was good. It's like the follow up is like, what's your favorite song? It's like the same thing with hymns.
Put you on the spot.
Yeah, you put me on the spot. There's honestly the classic one. It says, "Turn your eyes upon Jesus."
Oh, dang it! Are you kidding me? That was mine.
Was that yours?
That was mine. I don't know many, but that's one of the ones I do know.
Yeah, and it's just like even in the times of the hardest of times, where I just feel alone. That's just one of those little choruses. It says, "Turn your eyes upon Jesus, look full in his wonderful face, and the things of earth will grow strangely dim in light of his glory and grace."
Should have sung it.
I'm not going to sing it. That's not happening. That's the wrong podcast. But yeah, that's what helps me. And it helps me it tethers me back to reality, right? And not to get so caught up in expectations or in what ifs. It helps me to deal in reality and live and turn my eyes to Jesus now.
Yeah.
More so than anything else.
One of the ones that there was a time where I strongly disliked the hymn, which was I I can't think of what it's called now. Oh, be still, my soul. And I know it's very controversial to dislike that one.
Wow.
But it's just like I've kind of come around on it because I'm focusing more on the lyrics now.
Mm-hmm.
But like it's in my daily shuffle. No, but like
wow, that's a 360.
No. But like at first it's like, oh, that sounds like a little spooky. Like it's a little haunting of I feel like a little haunting of a song. But I've come around on it. But yeah, Turn Your Eyes Upon Jesus is I'd say my favorite hymn. Mm-hmm. But going back to our topic, because I pulled us way off the track there. I think because you mentioned something also about putting our hope in people, mm-hmm. and people our age, and I'm guilty of this myself, is in the stage of life that we're going through, we can relationships are a big part of this time, whether that's friendships in adulthood is very challenging, is what I've come to figure out. And also relationships with people, like looking for a wife in my case or in your case. And we can tend to put our hope and expectations all in this person, whether it's like someone we're interested in or someone we're dating or a friend. We kind of put like all of our hope and expectations, like things to be solved. And we kind of talked about this in the relationship episode, where we kind of like put it on this person, and that's not fair to that person because they're not God. But we kind of almost lay all of our expectations on this person to fulfill us, to everything. All of our problems are going to be gone once we're with this person. And that's, I think, is very dangerous because people aren't perfect. And no one's ever going to live up to your expectations. So it's kind of like you're setting yourself up for failure, like in situations. Once again, it's because like you put all of your hope in this person and they're not going to be able to meet it. And then you're like, oh, dang it. Like, this isn't working out. So you're setting yourself
crushed.
Yeah. And it's not a good situation, not a good mindset to go into.
And that's what God's really shown me over the past year is that if you put your hope in anything or anybody other than Christ alone, which is God himself, you will be severely disappointed. And I've had to learn that the hard way.
Yeah.
And it's just like, for example, real practical and real timely. If I put all my hope in a degree, and if I say, if I can just get that piece of paper that says I'm smart, then I'll have made it. That's misplaced because that's not living in reality. The reality of it is that doesn't mean I made it. It means it's a good accomplishment, right? Or if I put my hope in a person and say, like, if I get that relationship, that will, like, then I'll be at ease and I can rest. That's not true either, because like you pointed out, they're human just like I am. And they can't be expected to fulfill every one of my needs because there's a God-shaped hole in everybody's heart that only God can indwell and only God can fill up. And that person is not going to fill that up, right?
Yeah.
It's the fact of where we're turning to. And it's hard. It's hard to place your expectations and keep your mind fixed on Jesus when you can't see him tangibly, right? It's easy with like a person in a relationship because like I can see them tangibly. I can touch them. I can hold their hand. I can do something. But that, I guess that's like even the best of relationships, if your hope is in that alone, it's fleeting. It's not gonna last, right? Because we're finite. We're not gonna be like we are right now forever.
Yeah. So placing expectations in God. Now for people wondering, like, we can place everything on him, right? But we also have to be like, not everything is going to be answered yes, or not everything is going to be answered yes. God says no.
Exactly.
Like, so we can't be like, all right. Like when I was younger, because it's like God, my parents told me like God's gonna, if you ask for something, God will, give it to you. And like, they, in my kid self, I was thinking, if I ask for a PlayStation 2, like God will surely bring me a PlayStation 2. And like, so I was expecting a PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get this. It's gonna maybe fall from the sky. I'm gonna wake up. It might be just sitting here. Like I don't
the children
know.
of Israel with the manna.
Yeah.
You're gonna walk out. It's gonna be on your lawn.
It's just gonna be there. I expected that, and then it wasn't there, and I was like, oh, well, what the heck? I didn't like, but then I also like, I don't remember if I asked my parents, why didn't God bring me a PlayStation 2? But like, that's not necessarily where it's going. And I think once we're at our age, we can ask for things, not necessarily a PlayStation, but we ask for things that are kind of like maybe not in God's plan, or we ask, oh, I'd really like that relationship. God, can you give me that relationship? And it doesn't happen. We're like, oh, like what the heck? But God does have a plan, and like I said, we can't like set our expectations like to be exactly how we picture them, because God has a better plan. And it's go ahead.
Kind of what we were talking about last week with abiding. It's interesting you said like asking for something, like asking for something from God, right? And placing an expectation in that, because in the passage we talked about last week, John 15, there's actually one of the statements that gets used a lot where Jesus says, ask anything in my name and it will be given to you. Well, I find it very interesting that Jesus makes that statement after he makes 3 or 4 other statements that say, hey, I'm the source of your life. Like your life, quality, beautiful life, that like just contentment, peace and joy and satisfaction, it only comes through me. Jesus says it only comes through me. And then he says, because of that, abide in me as I abide in you. And then you move down and it says, after that command, it says, and then at that point, ask anything in my name and it will be given to you. Right. So it's only when we can abide in Jesus that we can ask, because our desires, they don't just stick with us. Right. Like it's not like if I abide with Jesus, Jesus will give me that Ferrari. It's not like that. It's the fact that
finally get a PlayStation 2.
Exactly. It's the fact that, hey, my desires are slowly being conformed to God's desires, because when we abide with Jesus, we become more like Jesus.
Yeah.
And when we ask for something in Jesus' name, even if the answer is no, we see Jesus and we know that he's got a plan and we know that he will take care of that need, right?
Yeah.
So and that's so important.
Yeah. So what we can place our expectations in, because there's not much outside of God that we can place. Like there's nothing outside, like, nothing is like absolute, like we were saying. But we can place our expectations in that God is going to be there. We can trust in God, because we have trust issues with a lot of things.
Right.
Like, yeah, we have trust issues with a lot of things, but we can place our expectations that God will come through for us. Maybe not exactly how we picture it or not how exactly we want it, but he will, if we abide in him, he will be there and help us and guide us exactly where we need to be.
Yeah, exactly. And it's by placing our trust in the character of God alone, who says, I will never fail you. I will never leave you or forsake you. In a very rough translation, I will never let you down. And it's in that character, that good nature of God, that we can place our trust and we can rest and find that true peace. And I think that is the crux of everything we've talked about today. And conveniently, it's a good place to end.
Hey, I didn't yawn.
Yeah, you didn't yawn. Yawn. Don't yawn.
Not gonna do it. We need the yawn counter. The yawn counter is at 0. I did have about like 15 coughs though, I will say.
Yeah, so that kind of evens it out.
That was the vaccine.
Hey, anyway, thank you guys so much for listening with us, tracking along with us. Again, like we say every week, we love you guys, and we want to hear from you. We want to connect with you, see like where you're figuring things out. If you're figuring out this expectation, this dealing with expectations versus reality, we'd love to hear that, and love to just be a part of your lives in that way as well. But until next time, we love you guys. We'll see you next time.
See you guys.